Good morning. MTO is indeed unstoppable. We have some really great things going on in the office right now. And later today, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from some absolutely amazing program managers that are going to talk about what they think the future is going to look like. DARPA, as much as we like to take credit for reinventing the future, does not do this by itself. We actually do it in partnership with you, and I am just delighted to see all of you here today. I've seen a lot of old friends and valued partners this morning. What I'm super excited about is fully 2/3 of the people in this room have never worked with MTO before. And this is just such an exciting opportunity for us to share with you what we want you to do, but hear from you what you think would be impactful as we move forward in the Microsystems Technology Office. And we look forward to you being new friends and valued partners as well. I am grateful to you for taking your time and spending your precious dollars to come be with us. But I'm going to actually start the morning by asking you to do me one more favor, which is that there's a lot of people walking around here in blue shirts that says MTO in the front. It has the Spark Tank logo on the back. This amazing staff is actually the people that make this fabulous event happen. And so if you would do me the favor of saying thank you, give them a pat on the back, tell them how phenomenal that they are. I tell them this probably not often enough. I'll say it right now. You all are phenomenal, and thank you for everything that you've done. Please support me in conveying this information to them. Thank you. On August 31st of this year, I will have served in the government for 26 years. And I tell you that because what I have seen in the ecosystem is that DARPA and the community make one just absolutely amazing radar system, computer system, imaging system. And often those end up in cases at DARPA and they don't actually proliferate around the world. And the way that we all know is that you make impact is to actually scale things to a place where they actually change, disrupt the way the world interacts today. And so we're thinking a lot about economics in the office right now. How do we think about making sure that the technology that we develop actually scales and provides meaning? Done a lot of talking to old partners about how long does it take from the end of a DARPA program to actually showing up in the real world. The average is 15 years. That's hoo-ha, right? What are we going to do about that? And how are we going to shorten this innovation time frame? I think that that's by looking at the way the commercial world does this, thinking about how we take lessons from the commercial world in order to scale. And I think it's important to partner with our commercial partners in order to make this happen, because I fundamentally believe that economic security is national security. And so our reasonably new MTO mission statement is to dominate the microsystems ecology militarily and economically. We're setting off on some new thrusts. Across the top, you see the way we're thinking about science. Photonics, quantum, and organics. I'm going to talk about photonics for a minute. Photonics has been around for a long time, but I think that we've kind of thought about it as replacement, right? We talk a lot about how photons are better than electrons. And so let's have photonic interconnects or replace our electronic oscillators with photonic oscillators. And I think that's all super important. And it's been great work that has happened, but I think it's time to start thinking about displacing electronics in its entirety. I would like your grandchildren to never actually know that we used electronics to say, seriously, you moved things around using electrons? Like, let's think about pushing photonics into a place where photonics is the new way of doing things. And I think the way you displace things is not by replacing electronics with photonics. It's by replacing electronics with photonics and leveraging the additional capability that light allows you to do. And we've got some great thoughts in that area that you'll hear about today. We think that quantum is in a space where we can move from quantum science into quantum engineering, into a place where you don't have to have PhDs that stand really still and hold their breath when they're taking their measurements so that it doesn't interfere with things. We want to actually see quantum sensors on aircraft and tanks and submarines and space and every place. And that requires moving into the engineering space. And it requires moving into the manufacturing space, right? One of the program managers told me on day 2 that a state-of-the-art clock was hand-built by a PhD and a manufacturable clock was hand-built by a highly skilled technician. It's not what I call manufacturing, right? So we need to think about that ecosystem as well. And then we're thinking about organics, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that in a minute, so I'll skip it for the moment. We're thinking really hard about the microsystems manufacturing ecosystem. This fits in with what I said at the beginning. If you don't think about how you can scale at the very beginning, then you are never going to get there. But I don't think that throwing money at it is the best solution forward, right? You can take the wealth of the nation and try to bring manufacturing back to this country, or you can leverage the ability of really, really smart people in this room to start thinking about how you can use science and engineering in new ways to enable us to manufacture in a completely different fashion. And so we are thinking about new tools, new processes, new materials. How can we just change the way we think about manufacturing today and do something entirely different? And then I've talked a lot about leveraging the commercial world and the greatness of the commercial world, and I believe everything that I say. But I told you that I've worked for the government for 26 years. And one of the things that I also resent is that often Whitney Mason, private citizen, ends up with something sooner than private Mason, Army soldier. Because the commercial world can scale so much faster, and by the time that private Mason gets something in her pocket, regular citizen already has that, and the Department of Defense does not have a differentiating capability on top of that. We always remember at DARPA that we work for the Department of Defense, and that military security is also national security. I'm going to talk a lot more about this in a minute. And of course, the reason that we're thinking about this new ecosystem is because you know the world that we live in. MTO in particular has done a lot of work thinking about Moore's Law and the advancement of Moore's Law and how we can prop up Moore's Law. I say that we just acknowledge that Moore's Law is dead, or it's soon to be dead, and we need to get off this train and we need to think about things in an entirely new fashion. And it's scary, right? But at DARPA, we view that as an exciting opportunity. And then, of course, there's the energy that we are going to use to enable this AI revolution that we're going through right now. But much like I said about the manufacturing space, right? Just throwing nuclear power plants at it can't be the answer. How can we think about this in a smarter fashion that allows us to reduce our energy footprint, which might allow us to save energy, or it might allow us to do more things? Your choice. There's 3 areas in particular that we are thinking about enhancing. I had sort of dismissed computing when I came back to the office because there's so much work going on, and there's so much commercial things going on, right? I mean, NVIDIA is the richest company in the world for a good reason, and I didn't see how we could make a difference in MTO. But I've gotten a lot of education from the community, and I've done a lot of thinking, and we think that it's time to think about unconventional computing again. There is nothing up on these screens that's new, right? Everybody has been thinking about this for a long time. But what we're seeing, right, in the research community is one device, right? One demonstration, for example, of reversible computing. How can we scale that up to large scale to take over the world? Now, I want to displace the way we think about computing today. And again, the way you displace is because you add more capability on top of where you are now. Think about quantum computing. The reality is that quantum computing is not changing the compute ecosystem. It is bringing new computations for us to do things that we can't calculate today. I think that there is a space in these other ways of doing things that allows us to do better compute from a math perspective, an energy perspective, an algorithm perspective, something, right? So I'm not looking to replace NVIDIA. I'm looking to do something that NVIDIA, for example, can't do. Okay, so we talked about organics, what I say to the community is I'm calling this organics because whenever I say the word bioelectronics, people invariably come and tell me about the electronics that can be used for health monitoring. And I think that's super important, but that is not what I mean. What I mean is how can we combine organics, and I don't just mean carbon. Carbon's great, but like think viruses, right? Think bacteria, think proteins. How can I combine biology into our ecosystem, organics into our ecosystem, to either do something that the military needs to do? Our traditional way of thinking about that is sense, decide, act. So can the combination of organics with electronics, with photonics, with quantum sensors allow us to do something that the DoD needs to do now? Or can it just fit into our ecosystem as an assist, right? NASA says with great joy that they're sending up a system so that when their electronics fail, 30% of failures in space are electronics, and they can have an additive manufacturing system that can repair those electronics. There is fundamental research that says that actually biology can sense that break and go in and repair it in situ, right? So can I think of this as a repair mechanism if I include it? Can I think of it as a template where I can get perfect growth instead of having to spend the years we move through to get there? Can I think about this as memory, right? DNA memory is significantly smaller than traditional memory. So what does it allow us to do in this space? We have actually kicked this off. The two programs that you see on the left are new programs in MTO that allow us to think about sensing and catalysis. You're going to hear more about that today. We are actively recruiting in this area because a year ago, I said it was highly speculative, right? It's time to try this and see if it works. We have some evidence already that this actually makes sense, and we're looking to enhance our footprint in this area. Commercially catalyzed defense deployment. This is the dual use by design that I talked about earlier. And dual use has always meant something specific in the Department of Defense, in the federal government. And I think it's meant something specific probably to the rest of the world as well, which is the commercial world can use it and the DoD can use it, right? Communications chips are the obvious place that one could think about this. But what bothers me about that concept is what prevents my adversary from ripping open my cell phone, my communications tower someplace, and just taking that piece of hardware and putting it someplace to do ill. Pretending like, well, I'm just selling it for commercial purposes, so it doesn't have any DoD ramifications, I think is naive. And so I hate that concept of dual use. It has served us really well when we didn't have the competition that we have now, but now that we do, right, science across the world is great, right? People know how to do these things. I think that we need to up our game. And so I think that we need to think about this concept of dual use by design. One of the ways that the government has thought about this in the past is from a split manufacturing perspective, right? Can I do front end of line in a commercial factory, commercial foundry, and then do special DoD kinds of things in back end of the line? And I think that that's been marginally successful, but I think that we need to think bigger. I reread Freedom's Forge recently, and it's about the transition, right, of the ecosystem from commercial development to military development, right? How they, in World War II, they went from car factories to tank factories. But that took 3 years. It took 3 years to transition from a commercial lifestyle into a military lifestyle. COVID, of course, is our most recent example of this, right? All of a sudden, we had to figure out how to use the stuff that we had in order to manufacture things that we needed because we were cut off from the rest of the world. What if we stopped thinking that way? What if we stopped thinking that this was just for emergency use and we started thinking about this as just a normal way of doing business? So can I drive something off the Ford lot and do a little something in the back end that makes it militarily useful? Or can I have Ford actually, I realize this is stupid, don't laugh at me. Can I have Ford just flip the material over, right? And all of a sudden it was in the design and it was plain old boring in one version. And the manufacturing process allows me to, at the exact same cost, give the military just something just a little bit special. This is the big call that I have to you, particularly people that are firmly embedded in the commercial world, right? How can we think about this? Because I've been trying to figure this out for 26 years, but I think it's even more critical now to think in this way. Okay, so there's two ways to make a difference from a DARPA perspective. You can come and be here and interact with the PMs and inspire them to do programs, propose to the programs that we develop and do great and amazing things. Or Tony Tether used to say, a former DARPA director, if you can't get done what you think is magical where you are, come to DARPA and make that happen yourself. We are recruiting all the time. The three areas that I talked about are just the tip of the iceberg. These are things that it occurs to me that we should be interested in, but we are interested in any good idea that we think changes the world. So please, there's me in the tin hat, Mike Geertsen, my deputy director, and then Doug Bryant, who is our MTO recruiter. If you have any interest at all, even if you think the time is not right for you right now, come talk to us and understand what it's like to be a program manager. It is, I promise you, the funnest job you will ever have. Come talk to us about what that's like and what it might take if the time is right for you to become a program manager. And then, of course, you're in for a real treat today because we are going to hear from 11 really interesting PMs. About half of the people you'll hear from today are new, like in the last 6 to 8 months, are brand new to MTO, and they've got super interesting ways of thinking about the world. And you're going to want to hear from them, and you're going to want to engage with them. And I ask you, I guess I'm asking two favors. Tell them where their idea is good, but even more importantly, tell them what they're missing, right? What are they missing as they're thinking about the future, and how can they make what they're thinking about even better? One of the things that I very definitely believe in is that interesting things happen at the seams, right? Interesting things happen when you put organics together with electronics. Interesting things happen when you put economists together with physicists. I think that the world is a better place when we come together and we create these different perspectives, this diversity of thought that allows us to disrupt what is going on. So share your diversity of thought, please, with the program managers and allow them to do even greater things than they're thinking about right now. There's going to be a few other things that are going on today after the program managers talk. I am going to lead an MTO 101 discussion. This is going to be mostly valuable, particularly valuable for the 2/3 of you that have never worked with MTO before. DARPA Connect is here. I hope you've had the opportunity to engage with DARPA Connect, and they do a great job of providing an introduction to MTO, to DARPA and to MTO. They are very, very nice people. I promise you I'm a lovely person, but I am super blunt, right? I want to make sure that you understand what I mean, not just what I say. And so I'm going to try to help you interpret, what to do if you've sent in a proposal and your proposal is rejected. Like, why really and truly is that? There's a few reasons, and I can help you through how to make that better as you go forward. What's the best way to approach a PM? What's the best way to find a PM? That's the purpose of this adventure here. The really neat thing about DARPA is that technology is not the only place where we innovate. We innovate across the building. And Brian Knuckles, who's the division director in MTO's contract management office, is a really creative person that's really working hard to figure out how to help people that have never, in particular, that have never worked with MTO before, manage the system, and how can we modify these things to help you work better. But that applies to our old friends as well. He's doing some really interesting things. I strongly encourage everybody to come listen to him talk and hear what that is. And then Mike Geertsen is the greatest storyteller in MTO, and I encourage you to stay till the end to hear what he has to say. I got to tell you, I have a little bit of a pit in my stomach, but it will be fun, I promise. We have really long breaks. We have really long breaks scattered throughout the day for a couple of reasons. First of all, we want to maximize our time to be able to interact with you. But we also want to maximize your opportunity to interact with each other. In particular, if you're an old friend, please go meet a new friend, right? Because as I believe that interesting things happen at the seams, pulling our ecosystem together into collaborative groups, right? As these proposals come out, it's gonna be somebody that you met at this conference that you didn't know, conference, workshop, thing, Spark Tank. At this Spark Tank, that could be the magic that puts things together. So please interact with brand new people. I challenge you to meet, I'll say 100 new people today. I'm going to. The other thing is lunch. So what we've asked the program managers to do is to go sit at a table by themselves. We have spread the PMs out. There will be a card at the table that has their name. And if you want to go talk to Justin Cohen, find his name placard and go sit there and talk to him and engage with him at lunch. It's a great opportunity for you to know where he is, and all of us are. If you have an interest in being a program manager, come talk to me, come sit at my table, please. The biggest thing that I want everybody to do is to have fun, right? I have been here for 2 hours and I'm having fun already. Hopefully you all do too, as we come together to think about what the future might look like. Thank you again for being here. If you have concerns, questions, we're all here. The people in the blue shirt, Mike and I, are here all day, happy to help you through any process that you need to. Thanks again.